Welcome to the Rooted in Health and Wellness podcast with your host, Heather Harris. Thanks so much for joining me today. And I'm in a little bit of a different setting, if you can tell. I'm actually at home. I didn't feel like going into the office and recording today. And so I thought I'm just going to try it from home in my nice, comfy chair, relaxed. I've got my tea and it's actually a beautiful fall day out here. I was out this morning and went for a stroll out around back in our woods area, and it was just absolutely beautiful. It's actually going to be a little bit warmer. It's sunny, and I don't know about you, but I love fall. I love these fall days, and I love when I can get out in the morning and get that morning sunlight. It makes all the difference in my mood and just my whole day. And it actually makes a difference in my sleep as well. I'm going to this podcast is going to be a shorter one today. I just want to talk and kind of wrap up. We've been talking in the last two podcasts about sleep, and I kind of want to wrap that up. Um, Not that I'm not going to talk more about sleep in other podcasts, but just kind of I'm been going kind of on a theme, one thing at a time and talking about that thing in a few podcasts. And we're going to be moving on after this one. My next podcast, I'm going to talk about things to do to help you and your immune system and staying well as we head into this cold and flu season. Um, just things that you can do, supplements you can take, and just other things that you can do to help yourself um, to boost your immune system and just to help stay healthy. And so that's going to be the next podcast. And then from there, we're going to kind of go on and talk about nutrition, which is a huge subject and one of my passions. And so we're going to talk a lot about that. And one of the things that I'm thinking about, and I would love for you to leave the comments in below, whether you're listening to this on Apple or Spotify, or if you are watching on YouTube, leave in the comments like if you would be interested in me filming here at home some of the things that I make, some of the things I make for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or snacks. Today actually I'm going to be making this afternoon. This time of year, again, I don't know about you, but I love to bake more. I don't know, just that mom comes out of me too, where I just really want to bake and cook and make, healthy, good things that are warm and comforting during this time. And so we've had a lot of apples and pears from our orchard that we have. I wish at some point I might do a podcast too about, or a YouTube video showing kind of where I live in the property. Obviously, not telling you exactly where I live, but just giving you an idea of what like I'm looking at right now. It's really, really nice, and kind of why I wanted to just be able to record and film from here is I'm looking out onto our pond, and then behind our pond we have acres and acres of woods where we have a path back there where we can walk, we can off-road, we have off-road bikes that we can take. My kids have go-karts and stuff that they can drive around. And so it's just really a nice view to do my podcast. But also one of the things I made over the weekend, because like I said, I'm jumping around here, but we had lots of apples and pears from our orchard that we picked. And so one of the things I made my kids love is homemade applesauce. Made a bunch of that to use up some of the apples, but I also made a kind of a healthy apple crisp or apple crumble, if you call it that. And it was all really good ingredients, and my kids absolutely ate it up. And in fact, they finished it last night after dinner and wanted to stay up and make more. And I'm like, I'm not cutting up all the apples and doing all that tonight, but I am going to make that today. And I actually make a pear version since we have so many pears too. But if that's something that you'd be interested in, like, you know, I can film making that to give you some good ideas. It's actually, I mean, besides cutting and peeling all the apples, it's easy. It's an easy recipe, super easy, super healthy, and good, and just nice again and warm. Is a good healthy dessert for over the fall. So if that is something you would like me to do, please leave a comment in below, or sometimes people just text me, I know, and that know me, and will say, yeah, hey, can you do that? Or email me. So that's all fine as well. I always leave all my information down below if you do want to get a hold of me and ask any questions or anything like that. But I kind of wanted to wrap up sleep because the last two podcasts, like I said, the podcast before the last one, we talked about the 3-2-1 formula, that I gave you a lot of free things to do to help you to sleep better. I always want to start with, what are you eating? Are you exercising? What's your stress level? All of those things first, to make sure that we're, again, addressing all of those things, all of the basics, before we move on to supplementation and or tests or anything that we need to take. But I think it's really important, even before supplementing. Again, supplements are to supplement an already healthy diet and lifestyle. So that's exactly how I use them. I do not just willy-nilly give off supplements. We always work on diet, exercise, sleep, stress before anything else. And then, usually it's, I want to test to make sure what you actually need before I just have you go and buy supplements. I have a lot of people that will come to me and they are on a ton of supplements. They've tried a ton of supplements, either just from hearing from someone, or another practitioner said, oh, take this or try this. They go spend, they're spending thousands of dollars, and yet they're still not feeling great. So that concerns me. I don't want people to be spending all this money and still not feeling great. And again, I don't know either. Like, I'll never know if a supplement's going to work for someone exactly. But if we test, like vitamin D, for example, if we test and your vitamin D is low, well, I know that you need vitamin D then, and we can figure out how much you need, and that's going to help you. Um, there are certain supplements, that we can try, like magnesium, for example, for sleep. And, for a lot of people that will help them. For some people, though, it does not. So sometimes it takes more than one supplement to, oh, excuse me. You're going to probably hear my other two dogs. I had three and we lost one. And now I have other two ducks there barking at every little thing that goes by. If a squirrel goes by, they bark. And you may hear, even in the background, birds. We have turkeys and geese and ducks and chickens. So you may hear that in the background as well. So I apologize for that. But I kind of want to talk about, though, like, well, let's get back to that. The two podcasts ago, we talked about that 3-2-1 formula. So that's really important. It gave a lot of free things, not eating 3 hours before bed, not drinking liquids 2 hours before bed, not watching any screens or having blue light in your eyes 1 hour before bed, making your sleep environment, comfortable, cool, dark, everything, so that all those things can help set the setting for a good night's sleep. Um, our sleep can be disrupted for several different reasons. Stress and anxiety are a big one. If you're in chronic stress, or and you're pumping out cortisol all the time, that's going to affect your sleep. You know, um, any kind of mood change, depression, sadness. This time of year, as we go into winter and there's less light and more darkness, that seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, that can affect people's sleep. They don't sleep as well. Obviously, if you have a medical condition like sleep apnea or insomnia, restless leg syndrome, you're in some sort of chronic pain like arthritis or fibromyalgia, or you've got some sort of neurological disease or disorder like Parkinson's or epilepsy, those all can disrupt your sleep. If you're drinking too much alcohol, guys, alcohol, a lot of times people will think, well, I drink a glass of wine, it helps me to relax. It may help you initially to relax, but it actually does disrupt your sleep, and you don't tend to get as a good night's sleep overall. It disrupts that sleep cycle, that circadian rhythm. You get poor quality of sleep. So I still don't recommend, drinking to help you fall asleep. Certain medications like antidepressants, stimulants, allergy medications, those can all interfere with sleep. So you may want to take a look at that. If you're taking any of those could be affecting your sleep. And then obviously we talked about like sleep environment, your mattress, your pillow, just the coolness of the room, the noise, the light, all of that can disrupt sleep. If you are not on a consistent sleep schedule, I think I talked about that 2 podcasts ago, making sure that you're kind of trying to go to bed at the same time, preferably before 10 o'clock, because then we get that second wind. I talked all about that. And staying on a sleep schedule, that can help you. A lot of times, people that are doing shift work, having to do second or third shift, that's really hard on their sleep. And then just, again, we talked about sleep hygiene practices, not having that blue light or watching TV in bed, and making sure you're not drinking a lot of caffeine before bed, as well as alcohol, but caffeine too. Obviously that seems like a no brainer, but sometimes people will drink caffeine even like in the afternoon and think, oh, it's no big deal, but that can also affect your sleep. As we age, unfortunately, that's not something that any of us can control. We're all going to age, but that does also affect our sleep. Hormones is a big one that if someone comes to me and they're not sleeping well, that's one of the big things I'm going to look at is their hormones and how can we balance their hormones. Um, Different things, like I said, anxiety, we already talked about. And obviously, then there's sleep disorders like narcolepsy, parasomnia, and other circadian rhythm disorders that can affect your sleep. It's really important, I think. Now, I'm going to talk about a few supplements. I'm just going to kind of give you a list. I'm not going to talk about dosages because this is general information, but some supplements that you can try. Um, I get concerned even with supplements. Again, I don't want people to be on long-term supplementation either. It's just like I don't want people to be on medications or have to be on them long-term. Like it's the same with supplements. I just, even with me with supplements, I don't take anything every day. I kind of cycle things. I take them when I think that I need them or I feel, depending on how my body feels, I'll take them depending on that. But I think you should always take breaks from supplements. And, unfortunately, I know of people that will come to me that have been on a sleep aid that, their doctor recommended for, years. And it's like, then your body kind of gets used to that and then needs it, and it kind of stops producing melatonin, especially on its own. So I am going to give you a few supplements that you can try if you want. You don't have to, obviously, but I really encourage people, like even when they come to see me and they're not sleeping well, I'm trying to get to the root cause of why they're not sleeping. So I may suggest a supplement to see if it helps them to get sleep and while we're figuring out what's going on with their sleep. And that's only because I want people to sleep. I want you to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Guys, I cannot stress enough. It is just in line there with nutrition and exercise. Those are important, but sleep is too. Because if you're not getting enough sleep, I guarantee you're going to struggle to lose weight. You're going to struggle to feel good. You're going to be in constant pain because your body is not healing and it's not getting enough time to recover. That's when you sleep, that's when you recover and your body heals. And so, super important. Don't discount that. Again, I've got clients that are like, well, I'm used to sleeping 4 to 5 hours a night. You may be used to it, but it doesn't mean that it's good for you. And most of the time, those people have a boatload of other issues going on. And they may think that it's fine and that they're used to it. But again, their body is saying, no, 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 no. We've got blood sugar dysregulation. We've got thyroid problems. Our weight is too high. We're fatigued all the time. All those things, brain fog, chronic pain. I could go on and on. And a lot of it's just because they're not getting enough sleep. So, look at the things that we talked about or I just talked about that are sleep disturbances. Look at how you can make your sleep environment better. Look at what you're eating. Are you getting enough exercise? And trying to preferably exercise more morning or in the afternoon, but not right before bed because that can also disturb your sleep. But again, get exercise whenever you can. But maybe you make the exercise if you're exercising before bed, something not or more calming. More that's going to help you get into that parasympathetic, like a nice walk or something outside in the fresh air. That might be more helpful than doing like a super high intensity workout. Than or going to a high intensity, class, or interval class, or, just pounding yourself right before bed. That's not always the best for your sleep either. But look at these things. And what I would encourage you is to work with a practitioner on what's the underlying, root cause of why you're not sleeping well. Is it hormones, getting your hormones tested and then figuring out how can we balance those hormones. Something that people discount a lot, but it could be your digestive system. It could be your gut. There are bacteria in our gut that if they're overgrown, they can actually cause insomnia and sleep problems. So guys, do not discount your digestive system and having that tested of what's going on in your microbiome. These are all things that I'm going to be talking about again in the podcast, different tests that you can take and that are just invaluable information. I think that everybody would benefit from getting tested at least once. Um, but if there's a thyroid issue, if there's a blood sugar issue, it could be, your liver, it could be so many different things that, we would need to look at like in lab work and in testing to see what again needs to be balanced out. Is there something that's, out of whack that could be causing these sleep issues? So that's always where I'm looking at. Like I said, I may suggest a supplement to try because I want them to start getting more sleep and getting more rest so that their body can heal and recover while we're looking at why they aren't sleeping. Again, is it hormone or something like that? And then fixing that so that hopefully long term they will sleep better. Um, but again, I don't want to discount what you eat makes a big difference. If you're eating a lot of processed foods, a lot of sugar, a lot of things like that, that could be disrupting your sleep. And eating too close to bed, I kid you not, it will disrupt your sleep. I mean, think about it. If you're eating, even an hour before bed, your body has then is sending all of its energy to digest your food. Okay. And so it needs to digest that food. And so that's what its primary goal is going to be, not to help you sleep better. So you don't want that to be your body working on digestion. You want it to be working on helping you to calm down and sleep. Again, in the last podcast, I talked about the mouth taping. Again, kind of an off, the wall topic, but it was just something fun, something that I've been doing that also has really helped sleep. And so I would encourage you to go back and listen to that. If you're having trouble with sleep, listen to these sleep podcasts and see, if anything in there, you can glean any information that might help you. But some of the supplements, so, obviously a big supplement that we hear about is melatonin. And melatonin is actually a hormone that we make naturally. But as we age, a lot of times that melatonin can decrease. On the Dutch test, which is a hormone test, one of the hormones it looks at is melatonin, and it will tell you, like, if you don't have enough melatonin. And so sometimes supplementation with melatonin can be helpful. Again, it's one of those things that the jury is still out because melatonin is something like if it works for you, great, but it doesn't work for a lot of people. And maybe it's because they've not tested and maybe they just don't need it. Maybe they're actually making enough melatonin. But it is one of those things that, kind of concerns me. It's not something that I would suggest supplementing with all of the time because I also then start to think if you're supplementing with something all of the time, does then your body not, does it stop wanting to make it on its own, stop producing it on its own? So I get concerned about that. I have melatonin always on hand. Someday, maybe I'll do a video on my pantry and my supplements, but I always have melatonin on hand, but I very rarely take it. I only take it if I really, most of the time, I only take it if I start to feel like I'm getting sick or something like that. There is actually a lot of research that melatonin also acts kind of like an antioxidant and can help your immune system and ward off viruses and sickness. Now, again, that doesn't mean just go out and start taking a boatload of melatonin. Please don't do that. But it is something that I take in microdoses if I feel like I might be getting sick sometimes. And I also know if I get sick, that disrupts my sleep. So anything I can help, again, to help my sleep, I will do. Now, I just said microdoses of melatonin. And that's because most of the time you'll hear like 5 milligrams of melatonin is recommended. I have had clients that have come into me even on like 10 milligrams and they're still struggling to sleep. It's crazy to me. And a lot of times people will take like 5 milligrams and they're like, Heather, I fell asleep, but I don't stay asleep. And that is very common with melatonin. it tends to help you fall asleep, but not stay asleep. And it's interesting because melatonin, our natural production of melatonin, the hormone starts to increase as nighttime comes on because again, it's trying to help you sleep. Our cortisol is going down, or it's supposed to be, and then the melatonin is increasing, and that's what helps us to fall asleep. But sometimes what can happen around 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the morning, our cortisol starts to go up. Okay, it starts to, because it's starting to slightly go up, or it's supposed to go up very slowly to help us wake up in the morning. Then, and the melatonin is going down. But sometimes that melatonin can go down too fast, and the cortisol can go up too hot, can go up too fast early in the morning. And that's what causes us actually to get up and down a lot of times. Um, so, what I've actually found is that, and well, let me back up here too. Melatonin, a lot of times for people when they take it at 5 milligrams or more, they will say, man, I feel groggy in the morning too. I didn't sleep all night and I feel groggy from it. And that was what happened to me. When I first tried melatonin, I was like, oh my gosh, this is not for me. But what I've learned is that actually microdoses of like 1 milligrams, 2 milligrams, maybe three can actually work better for people. It can actually help them to sleep more and they don't wake up feeling groggy. So that might be something to try. I do a liposomal vitamin, liposomal melatonin, and it is so liposomal meaning it's in a liquid form that I just pump into my mouth. And it's 1 milligram per pump, which is really nice because then I can control how much I'm taking. And like I said, I very rarely take it, but every once in a while, if I feel like I'm gonna, something's coming on or I'm getting sick or that might disrupt my sleep, I might do like 1 or 2 pumps of it. And it's really interesting, but that seems to work. So that might be something that you want to look into as far as the melatonin. But even before that, again, probably my favorite is magnesium. There's so many different kinds of magnesium, and I'll actually do a whole podcast on that as well because there's different types of magnesium for different things. People will always come in like, oh, I'm taking magnesium, but half the time it's like magnesium oxide, which is the least absorbable and the cheapest, the one you'll find at most, pharmacies or grocery stores. But it actually is not one that's going to help you sleep. It's actually one that's going to um, tend to cause you to have loose stool. But magnesium glycinate is usually a good one for sleep. Um, there's other magnesiums too, but that tends to be the one. So I'm just going to again give you things that maybe you could try. Magnesium glycinate is a good one. Some other things are like valerian root. Valerian root is an herbal supplement that's been used for centuries to help with sleep. And so it can a lot of times help. So you're going to want to look for supplements. It's, maybe I think a lot of times now there's a lot of good sleep supplements out there that have a number of things. They might have magnesium, valerian root, L-theanine. L-theanine is another good one that is an amino acid actually that's found in tea leaves and it has a very calming effect. L-theanine is a really nice supplement and can help you to feel very calm, something that some people, might even like throughout the day if they're really stressed or anxious. So magnesium, valerian root, L-theanine, glycine, another amino acid that also can improve sleep. Glycine is actually in gelatin. So there's a lot of people that will talk about eating Jello before bed. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Jello. I actually do use a gelatin powder. It's just pure like grass-fed gelatin that has got a lot of glycine in it that I'll put in a drink in before I go to bed to also help. And glycine has a lot of good benefits about it, but one of them is helping to fall asleep faster. Lavender, again, lavender is an essential oil that you can make into a tea or put in a supplement that's also very calming. Kind of along that lines is chamomile, another herb, that's a tea. A lot of times people drinking chamomile tea, we forget about those things. But having a chamomile or chamomile and lavender tea before bed a lot of times can help calm you down and help you to sleep better. I love tea. I'm a huge tea drinker. Um, and I love having a hot, warm cup of tea, especially before bed, especially in the fall and winter. There's nothing more relaxing to me than doing something like that before bed. Those to me, L-theanine, glycine, valerian root, magnesium, chamomile, passion flower, I forgot to mention that, another herbal supplement. A lot of times, like I said, you can find a tea with a lot of these herbs in it for sleep. Like I'm looking for a sleep tea that has maybe the chamomile, lavender, and passion flower in it, or valerian root. Again, you can look for supplements that are sleep supplements. BioOptimizers actually has a really good sleep breakthrough, they call it. I love their magnesium breakthrough too, which I'll talk about another time. But I love their magnesium breakthrough, and they have now a new product called Sleep Breakthrough. It's a powder that you can mix up into a drink. It tastes pretty good, and you can drink that before bed. And I have had clients try that and really said it's helped them more than anything else. Again, it's kind of a cocktail of different sleep supplements. And that's what I'm finding for a lot of people is that just taking like magnesium glycinate sometimes doesn't do it for them. Sometimes they need a cocktail of different things. And again, not that I want you to be on these things forever, but they're nice to have if you are struggling to sleep, here and there. And they're helpful if you are struggling to sleep until you get to the root cause of what is going on with your sleep. Um, so those would be things that I would look into as far as some supplements. And like when you're, like I said, searching out maybe at your local health food store for supplements for sleep, looking for some of those things in there. Um, if and if you are struggling with sleep and or finding a good supplement, you can always reach out to me. I do work with a bunch of different companies that I do get discounts for supplements for, so I can help you with that. I can order something for you if you would like, and you can try it, or you can meet with me and we can try to figure out what's going on, why you're not sleeping, and what that root cause is. So that would be where I would start, guys. Again, work on the free things first: your diet, your exercise, your stress. That's a huge one. That's a huge one. Please don't discount it. Your sleep environment, and then maybe run some tests. Either ask your doctor for hormones to be tested, or your thyroid and your blood sugar. I think it's super important to get all those tests done and kind of get an overall picture of what's going on with your body. And then, if you're interested in like different kind of tests for your gut, or the Dutch test for hormones, which also looks at your melatonin. Um, there's actually so many good tests. There's another test from vitamin and mineral deficiencies, because maybe you have some deficiencies in vitamin and minerals or amino acids or essential fatty acids, that maybe we need to look at that and getting those up to make you feel better and help you sleep. There's some great tests that a lot of them, yes, you have to pay for out of pocket. They're not covered by insurance, but it's one of those things to me, again, that it's super important for our health. And again, you spend your money however you want to. You absolutely have the right to do that. But I know for me, I really try to focus on, when I'm spending money on like testing and supplements and things that are going to help better my health. So if you're interested in any of those, you can leave me a comment below. You can shoot me an email. I've got all that information below, and I can try to help. So again, thanks so much for watching. Please hit subscribe or follow on Apple or Spotify, and subscribe on YouTube. I would really appreciate it if you share this with your social media and anyone else that you think would benefit. I'd love to, again, grow this community, get that information out there, um, and or good sound information out there, and just help everybody that I can. So I will look forward to seeing you next time. Please look for that next podcast and video on how to keep yourself well as we go into this cold and flu season. So until next time, bye.